So hey there, this is John here, and it's my really good friend Ricky, who I met through this whole mastermind. It's been really awesome. We freaking we hooked up by I think he posted something he needed help or something, or somehow we found out that we lived like I don't know, like 15, 20 minutes away. And at the very beginning, we said, okay, let's go meet up for dinner. So we did out by us, and then it's also what are you gonna do? Like a challenge. And Ricky's all I told Ricky I was gonna make a video day, and he started the whole here's John taking uncomfortable action, and which was cool. And when I told him I was gonna do it, I was like, why did I just say that? But it was cool, and thank you. I will forever be indebted to you for starting off that whole uncomfortable action thing. It just got me on a roll. So
Yeah,
Ricky, tell me about your whole journey during that,
hey,
through this.
my pleasure, John. It's been a blessing to meet you. It's been a blessing to be a part of the mastermind community, to be able to, become friends and continue on this journey together. Wow, where to start? Well, first, my name's Ricky Carilli. I'm 33 years old. I'm born in Staten Island, New York, where I was born and raised for 25 years. I had a great childhood. I come from a good family. Um, I have about, I grew up on a block with nine boys. So we were always outside. We always had to do something that's pretty rare these days.
Right.
Um, yeah, I was very good in sports, athletic, I was good in school. Um, always captain of football teams and baseball, whatever really I did. I was just a natural born leader.
Nice.
Then I got into high school, and you meet some people from different backgrounds, and you try, you do some things, and some of them aren't the right things. And it really shows, like, you end up being who your friends are. You are who you surround yourself with, and
That is so true.
that has definitely been the case throughout my life, for better or worse. Um, so I graduated high school, and then I went away to college. One of the problems was I was kind of like I was given too much as a child. I didn't struggle enough. My parents kind of gave me anything I needed, and I didn't have any responsibilities. So it's actually a phenomenon going on with my generation and the newer generations. It's called failure to launch.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
I've written papers about it, and it's basically, you're given too much, you don't have struggles of your own, and then you go into the real world and you get smacked in the face with reality.
Yeah.
And sometimes the results could be, pretty bad. In my case, I struggled for years with addiction between, different substances, marijuana, pharmaceuticals, and then it was, just alcohol, which is, socially accepted, but probably one of the worst things that, you could be sucked into,
Right.
because it's so socially acceptable. It's everywhere you go. And most people don't seem to think anything of it. Um, so when I was in college originally, my first college, which I didn't make it through, I went away to college in upstate New York at University of Albany, State University of Albany, and I got kicked out after 4 semesters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's not all that happened though. Because of the decisions I was making, the people I was hanging around with, I ultimately ended up locked up in jail for 4 months.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So I spent 4 months in jail and ended up on 5 years probation. And that was a rude awakening. 19 years old, I was just a kid. Um, and you're kind of forced to grow up pretty quickly. Um, let's see. After that, you spend a lot of time. My course that I'm working on is called Freedom, right? The Roadmap to Freedom, which is
Okay.
an I've come up with the basic values in my life that I've realized have really made all the difference. And one of the things I talk about in there is, freedom is something that is taken for granted, especially in America. But tell you though, you lose your freedom for a few months,
Yeah.
and you'll miss it. Right now in the outside world, everyone's like, oh, this and I need this material thing, I need money, oh, this and that, and you take for granted your family and just the basic aspects of life that when you're locked up in jail, you don't have anything. You trade everything for your freedom. Because freedom is what gives us the ability to do all these other things that we value so much in our life. So I got out of there, read a bunch of books while I was there, got a little fat.
Yeah.
And then I decided, you know what, I want to go back to college. At first I went to college because my parents said, you have to go to college, and it's what everyone was doing. So that's what I ended up doing. I had no goals. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but it's like, okay, you're going to college, you're going to go take out all this debt. Don't know what I'm going to do with it.
All right.
So after a while, I realized, I had a passion for psychology and sociology. I've always been a social person, and I interested in how the brain works. And I decided I'm going to go back to college and take it serious this time. Like, actually go there to learn something, not just to party,
Nice.
out with girls all the time. So I went to a community college of City University of New York, College of Staten Island. I graduated there with honors in sociology, bachelor's in sociology, and a minor in psychology. And then I kind of just worked jobs here and there, and I went into social work, and they wanted to pay me like $13 an hour, and at the time, like it was degrading that it was like disencouraging that I went to school. I put all this effort in. I thought I was going to do something. And then, the pay was so minimal that it was just not, it didn't seem worth it for me. Which brings me to another thing. Like, that's one of the problems I've been dealing with and still deal with is like my generation in particular is the lack of ability to sacrifice short term for long term goals, to be able to see, like, okay, yeah, you might make $13 right now, but how much would this lead to if you got to this level, if you got to this level, if you spent, 3 years at this company, 5 years, 10 years, where would I be? Millennials and the new generation, especially, they don't think like that.
No.
That thing is fast money. How am I going to be successful as fast as possible? And yeah, so one of my best friends, his father owned a construction company, and said, hey, my dad said he'll give you work right away. Well, I took the opportunity, and it was like $600 cash every week, and like, hey, that was a lot of money when I was making no money, right?
Oh,
600,
yeah,
that could add up. Um, so I did that for a few years, and then the winters in New York get cold and miserable. You're outside. Most days you don't work, and the days you do, it's freezing. My hands were freezing. I was working in Brooklyn, laying bricks and doing concrete and all that. And every day I woke up, I was miserable.
Wow.
And then my best friend happened to be in California in the Bay Area. And he's like, why don't you just come out here, leave that shitty life you have behind, and then and just come live with me. We'll have a good time, and I'll get you a job making the same amount of money you make now,
Nice.
and the a lot nicer. So I took him up on that offer. I said, at some point I figured I had nothing to lose. I'd miss my family. I miss the pizza and bagels from New York, but that's about it. Um, so I decided to give it a shot. I got off probation. I finished probation, and in January 2015, I moved out to the Bay Area, California. I spent the first 4 months on my friend's couch in his apartment. He had a roommate, and I lived on that couch for 4 months.
Wow.
All I owned a garbage bag or two worth of clothes. Nothing. I owned nothing to my name. I remember I first got a car, like I first leased a car. Like to me, even at 25 years old, like I was so sheltered and like given everything. I didn't even understand the concept of going to buy a car, like how even a debit card works or anything like that. I just dealt with cash, like um, completely not in touch with reality or the real world. So, slowly you learn these things and develop. And I was still, trying to get away from drugs, like, not heavy, not fully dependent, but still dabbling and like
Right.
just couldn't break it. The addiction, really had me, and many times like, oh, I'm away from it. And then it was, no, I'm back. So that went on for a little while. I started working out here. I spent the first 2 years working with a good friend who actually became a mentor to me out here. Excuse me. And after that, I decided, you know what, I need benefits. I want a pension, and I want all these things that people cherish. And
Hmm.
so I joined the union. I joined the laborers union out here, local 324, International Laborers Union. And I got with a company that good people, a small company, about 40 guys. And
Nice.
I was there for 5 years, until recently. Um, they paid me well. They were very fair. Um, and throughout that period, I dated a lot. I dated a lot of girls. I improved myself, so I improved like the girls I was trying to date. Um, and one of the biggest things that's happened in my life that kind of woke me up to like the need to change who I was I became engaged to a girl I was with for 3 years or so, and we
Wow.
were married about a year away, and COVID happened. And I'm not going to blame COVID for causing this. It was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Just being cooped up. Everyone knows the situation. Well, it got to the point where we just couldn't fake it anymore.
Mm.
Which at the time you're upset when these kind of things happen, but now I realize that's God's way of protecting me from something that could have been a lot worse. In the future, divorce and the struggles that come along with it. So that happened, and so I moved out of that apartment. It's at that point. This was July 2020, where I
Mm.
moved out of the apartment, and I needed somewhere else to live. So I end up moving to the place that I'm now at right now. That's so beautifully decorated with Christmas lights. Um, and it was here that I really, really changed my life now. Um, I say this all the time, like you don't people don't want to change. They don't see a need to change
Mm-mm.
until hit rock bottom. And it becomes easier in a way because you could convince yourself at that point that you have nothing to lose anymore. And that's what happened to me. I really decided I need to elevate my life in all aspects. I really started. I've worked out forever since I'm like 13 years old. But those years where I'm addicted to drugs and like chasing all other things that don't matter. You put your health aside, and that happens with a lot of us today. You put your health aside for many many things. A busy life, and it happens. But now I've realized that the priority in my life is my health, because without it, we can't do anything else. And
Mm-mm.
that's why I spend a lot of time now um promoting health and wellness. Strong brains and a strong body, it builds a strong life, and that's the foundation. So I've been here for about 2 years now. I decided, like, okay, I want to step up my education and do things to elevate in my career to move forward. So I took a certificate of construction management class for like a year and a half at Cal State University.
Oh, nice.
At that, but then I was held back from leaving my union job for a superintendent job because I wanted my 5 year pension to be vested in
Oh,
a pension. You need 5 years.
right.
When I did it, I didn't have that. And my company didn't really have the opportunity for me to move up. family owned. They didn't really need me to do what I wanted to do there. So, time went on. I said, I'm just going to suck it up. They paid me a little more to stay there and,
Hmm.
keep doing what I was doing. But after that happened, I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't what I want to do. And then I came across, personal growth and self improvement and development. And I've always had the addictive personality of like 100% into whatever I'm doing. And that just happened to be it. I started to see results of like, the things I was reading and the information I was constantly consuming. Like I had no interest in doing these things that other people want to do, like go drink. Like the only thing I did was golf with some buddies once in a while.
Yeah.
And then it became all right, well, I have all this self-education, but we kind of live in a world where you do need some, I want to share this information with everyone, which is why I'm on this journey now. But in the society we're in, you kind of do need some credentials. As sad as it sounds, like I always say that a lot of the universities, you're overpaying, and you're just not receiving the value that you're spending in money. I really preach the value of self-education, like all the courses and mastermind with Dean and Tony, and
Hmm.
they cousins. It goes to Jim Rohn and Napoleon Hill, and
Yeah.
it goes back Earl Nightingale. Like these are
Right.
some of the legendary, motivational and philosophers of the days. So I came across all this information. I just consumed it nonstop until it became like my life. And then it was recently like uh, I had a back injury at work. I was just approaching 5 years earlier in the year.
Oh,
I was just approaching. So I knew something was wrong with my back, but I just couldn't get out yet because I was so close. So I sucked it up and just kept going to work, which is also what I thought. I'm sure that happens is most blue collar workers are dealing with physical injury and they just think, oh, it's part of the job, it's part of
hmm.
my job. So I eventually go to a chiropractor and takes an x-ray of my spine. He's like, no, like this is like you're not okay. Like how you function normal. I'm like, well, I have this
It
pain
hurts
that
a
goes,
little.
yeah, I have this pain that shoots down to my leg towards my testicles sometimes. Like he's like, yeah, that's not normal. People are not feeling that normally. But it had become part of my life. Just had to keep going and whatnot. And he said, you know what, you don't need to do that. Maybe you need a little bit of a break. So I had just got my 5 years in the union at that time. Like I waited until I got 5 years, and then I decided after taking signing up for the project next with Dean and Tony. I was at lunch one day and I kept hearing I kept watching the videos and whatnot. And finally, I'm like, I was at lunch, sitting there, a hard hat on, like eating some miserable sandwich that I had packed for myself. I said, what? I deserve. It was like, oh my god, it's $1,000, or nine
Right.
hundred dollars. Like this is the biggest investment I've ever made on myself. But in reality, it wasn't because I've already spent 30, 40, 50,000 on higher education that ended up
Oh,
getting.
that's right.
So I had all college loans that I'm almost done paying out off now. But when I thought about it like that, I'm like, there's no way this won't be worth it. Like this information, even for $1,000, it sounds like a lot when you're in a broke mind state. And like I talk about, the being broke is not so much like how much money is in your wallet, in your bank account.
No.
It's a state of like, I'm not worthy of that kind of money, and like that's something I'm still trying to break. Like, and I'm sure many of us that are going to watch this, hopefully, it can relate to is like, how am I worth charging a client, this much money, and that's something I know people are probably struggling with right now. So it took a while. It takes a while to build self-worth, and I'm still in that process. Right now, there's days of doubts, like a day or two, like a couple days ago, I have these self-doubts, like, everything I want to do, like I want to start my own business, which direction to go. I want to, two of my passions are mentoring young men on like maturation and masculinity. Why? Because that's something I struggled with, that I'm more than one step ahead of someone, of these young men who probably need this, they need a role model. A lot of people, today, a lot of parents aren't even raising their kids.
Mm,
They both of them have to work because
right.
bills, everything. And I want to be a role model for these young men out of high school, out of college, or about to graduate. Because like myself, many of them are graduating with no real concept of the real world, no really no idea of what's out there, no goals, no really dream set or anything. So it's one of my goals is to do that, is to mentor young men and
Yeah, that's cool.
that does that. The other one of my goals is to educate blue collar workers through a program I want to create, blue collar betterment.
So
Uh,
that's like part of your course, or that's you're working on, right?
yeah, so the
Yeah.
course would be separate, but the information, see, that's all up in the air. I have a few ideas,
Yeah.
which part of my problem is that I have a few ideas that I'm pretty confident will work and bring a lot of value to people. But because I am not focusing, which is I just started Tony's new course that was just put out today
right.
about RPMs, right? And he's saying focus, like you need to focus on this one thing, what you want, how you want to get it, what you're willing to do to get it. And part of my problem is, I have all these things that I want to do, and I might make a little bit of progress here, a little bit of here, a little bit of progress here, but like never really moves the bar enough for me to feel confident in like what I'm doing. So that's one of the things. New year, I'm gonna do another self audit. I'm big on self audits. I'll sit down every couple months. I journal every couple days, once a week,
Right.
whenever it's just to spit out some thoughts. But a self audit of sitting down and saying, where am I really at my life in these different aspects, and where do I want to be in 6 months? Where was I 6 months ago? Have I made progress here? Have I made progress here? And that's something that has really helped me out is doing self audits, one or two, three of them a year, quarterly, whatever you have time to do, whenever you feel like you need to. Your intuition is going to tell you, hey, I need to check myself. Mine does, at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I'm at now. And I'm about to head home to New York for the holidays.
Nice.
I still call it home. This is my
Oh.
pen. I am don't worry, John. I'm not leaving you in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving you.
Don't leave me to come out to New York. So yeah, I'm finding that I need to schedule my time, and like you said, audits, and like in the past, I didn't want the structure. I hate structure, but it gives you the freedom. It gives you freedom to do what you want. It gives you freedom to track where you are, to pursue what you want to pursue, instead of just like it gives you a way to, I guess, turn off the faucet. I guess if you don't have a schedule, it's kind of like you got your faucet's just leaking water everywhere, and you're just leaking water out the faucet. It's just open, versus you control the faucet and you get to ration out where you want your water to go, basically, and what direction you want to invest it in, versus it just running all over the floor. And that's what I'm realizing. It's like, shit, I've wasted all this, time. Where did it go? Oh, there went another week. It's weekend. Well, and then you look back and you're like, I'm doing the same. Oh, I got the same New Year's resolution as last year, and the year before, and the year before that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Tony talks about that in the new course. Everyone should check it out.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds really good. Yeah, it's a struggle, but this is a great thing, because like I was telling you, it forces you to do all life's lessons really fast. And like you feel like you're bouncing everywhere, but if you just start doing, all of a sudden the path starts taking you where it wants you to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you get stuck trying to just figure out which one you want to start, then there's no path. But if you, even if you do like 4 things, pretty soon you're gonna go, oh, this is the one. That's how that whole Project U thing came for me. And that was never a thought.
Yeah.
It's just morphed.
I believe that, and I think the power of thought is something that's huge too. Talked about for thousands of years. It's The Secret. People have watched The Secret and the Law of Attraction, and the more you think about what you think about, you bring energy to, and that's what comes about. I think some of the things that I'm struggling with still are the millennial syndrome, I'll call it, of wanting it all right now. And I'm not big on comparing myself to other people. In the past, there's sometimes where I'm like, oh, I wish I had a family already. I wish I had this. But I'm also very grateful that my life is where it's at, and I have this opportunity to do these things and dedicate full time to a business that is going to help people, to constant learning and knowledge, and to be able to walk away from the job I didn't want to do, the job that physically ailed me. Like, with children and bills, overwhelming bills, it's just a lot of people, it's not possible to walk away, but I don't suggest that to anyone. Quit your job and go do this. And you see a lot of these social media influencers, it's poison, and I'm guilty of being sucked into this. It's every time you you open the screen, it's, do you want to make money quick? Do you want to be a 10-figure,
Right.
six figure a year? Do you want to be 5 figures a month? It's like, I'll sell you this get rich quick schemes. Like, it's the new age get rich quick schemes, and it's overwhelming sometimes, and like, I just posted recently in the mastermind that I had to delete my social media apps from my phone.
Right.
And I've asked, the only reason I have got back on social media is to build my brand, to advertise, to market my brand, to communicate with the mastermind group and others that are involved in the same thing. But even then, like, you start that dopamine addiction is real. A big deal. Somebody liked a comment I made. Someone liked the video, but it's like, when you sit back and look at it, it's like pathetic. But like, when you're in it, like, people live and die from this. Like, people are depressed because their photos aren't getting likes. Teenagers, young kids, especially girls, like, their image relies on this, and that's something that I really hope this community can help change. Like, that the living on for likes on social media and comments, it's like, the more and more it's getting bad. It's already bad. And that's something I caught myself getting caught up in. I'm like, you know what, I need to leave that. It's like, I have an addictive personality to begin with. Opening up social media and say, oh, I'm just gonna post this, but I'm not scroll through and see what anyone else is doing to see. It's a lie. It's like an ad. It's like an addict sitting in front of a pile of drugs. It's not, you're not going to stare at it forever and not take part. Like, so I've cut it down. The solution I have now is get rid of it off my phone, because my brain subconsciously associates my phone with leisure and socialization, right? My computer, on the other hand, my subconscious recognizes as productivity and business.
Oh, nice.
So now, like, I have the Instagram and Facebook will be on my computer only. TikTok, I am completely done with, because the reality is, okay, yeah, you can build followers on TikTok, but nobody's going on TikTok to try to find a life coach. Nobody is on TikTok to do that. So it's like the value, the time you're spending, where are you putting your time? You're going to put content on something that's not going to bring value to anybody. People don't take that serious there. So you need to follow, like they talk about in Project Next, who's your client, who's your ideal client, where do they hang out, what do they want, and how do you deliver that? It's not on TikTok. I can tell you that right now.
No.
One thing that's great though is YouTube Shorts is coming up, competing with all these other social media apps with the quick videos, because this goes
That's
back.
what everybody wants.
It's exactly. This goes back to again of the sick psychology of human beings. It's like want it now, 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 now. So the old trend on YouTube specifically was like 10-minute videos. It was about 10 minutes was the span that people could pay attention to, get value from, and say, okay, that's not too much of my time this to indulge in, right?
Right.
And a lot of content creators did very well making 10-minute videos, right? That has dropped down to a minute now. To
Wow.
one, if it's more than 1 minute, people aren't interested, and you can tell by the views that these, you know, for instance, if you went to Dean or Tony's YouTube page, right? You could see the view comparison of how many people are going to watch an hour video compared to how many people are going to watch a short, a 60-second clip of Dean talking about, something motivational on like a Monday morning live, right?
Mhm.
More people are going to go to that 1 minute, and that's where I think the future is going to be. Unfortunately, is in
Right.
these quick snippets of information and value to bring to people.
Yeah, it's just like boom, 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 boom. It's almost like the old commercials are too long because they were like 2 minutes and 2 seconds. The ones on TV that you're like click, click. You try, as soon as you could get rid of those, you're like, oh hell no, I'm not watching the commercial. But yeah, those were like 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Because I remember this guy. There was this one show. He's all, "I'll be back in 2 and 2," and then they'd sit there with the commercials. But hey, when you were talking, I was thinking that you were talking about the law of attraction and all the other stuff, and it popped in my head the law of action.
Yeah, well, in the universal laws, there is books about the universal laws. Um, the Kabbalion by the Three Initiates speaks about it, amongst many others. And the law of action is directly associated with the law of attraction. Everybody hears about the law of attraction. Oh,
Right.
this,
It's
but
funny.
we know, like being in this realm now, nothing. You can't just imagine being successful. You can't just imagine helping other people. Somebody says a thought without action is just a thought.
It's just a wish. It's a dream.
Exactly that. A thought without action is just a dream.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's funny because yeah, you can't sit in the corner and just wish. You got to take action, and that's why as hard as it is to face life, kicks you in the butt to get you out of the corner to take some action, and you're like, no, and I don't want to deal with this, and you get hit with something, and you're like, but if you don't learn it, it's going to teach you either way.
yeah, story of my life.
Oh
A lot
yeah.
of ups and downs. The roller coaster of things really good. Things are going too smooth, and I'm sure a lot of people have felt this too. It's like when things are going too smooth, some people start to worry like what's going to happen next. Because this is too good. Like, and we need to get away from that reality
Right.
to a mind state of like things are going good because I'm doing good. I'm being good for other people. I'm providing and have other people's best interests in mind besides my own. And then that's another universal law is reciprocation. You'll receive what you put out.
Right. And things may be going really good, but they're going good because you're doing, like you said, good things, providing value. But in the meantime, if you're taking uncomfortable action and still pushing yourself, well, then I don't think, but you're taking care of your stuff, like you're scheduling all this and not making stupid decisions. And so maybe life doesn't have to kick you in the butt because you're like you're enjoying it and living its fullest and, doing things that make you kind of nervous to do. But I was listening to Alex Hermosi, and he talked about friendship and all this stuff, and he talked about like when he first meets people and stuff that he takes like the first yes, because it's really hard if you don't like take the first yes, he says. Like when you're building a relationship, like say he meets like somebody that he admires or somebody that he just meets, right? And then they go, hey, you want to go hang out? You want to go do whatever, And he says that he makes it a point to go out of his way to go, yeah, no, you know, to just, because he says if he's found that if he doesn't, or even his experience of people don't, he's kind of just like, it's just like that offer doesn't really come. Sometimes it doesn't come at all again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and
You know, I think that depends though, because sometimes you need to learn to say no, especially
yeah,
doing this. Another problem, you know, I'm not necessarily a people pleaser, but I am willing to do anything for the people that I know would do anything for me.
yeah, he says that too.
So yeah, there's that fine line between of like what I should be willing to do and what I shouldn't. And then sometimes, you know, like in the case of a wife, you know, sometimes you got to take one for the team, right? You would know.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with everything right now.
yeah, it's cool. And you just, you know, you're busy and you're doing your thing. And I mean, to me, you're like super disciplined.
I try, you know, there's days of you know, I'm better at some things and not so good at other things. You know, I've quit a lot of things in my life that I've realized were dragging me down, like
Yeah,
obviously drugs and alcohol. I have like 7 months completely sober now. Before that, it was just drinking, and the drinking became a problem because, you know, it was a wine. One glass of wine was 2 glasses of wine, except my wine glass was a chalice, so it
yeah,
for a bottle. And it's just, you know, at some point it's like I knew in the beginning of the year, actually, I had written this down in my last New Year's resolution, like, what is the one thing that is holding me back the absolute most?
oh,
And it's drinking, you know. And I wrote down that this was like January 3rd of last year. I wrote this down. I had found it in my phone after I quit a couple months ago. That
wow,
the one thing I really needed to do this year was to just stop, just to live a sober life, and finally get my mind right without having a crutch. So many regrets, years of saying the wrong things to people, lost relationships with good girls, you know, good women. You know, you just turn to a different person, and it's not, you don't see it when it's common, when you're doing it all the time. But
right,
it creeps up, you know. And that's the biggest obstacle I faced this year was, you know, having the will to do that. And quick story about that. Same way I kind of got back going to church is like I just finished my graduate degree. I just
okay,
got completed my master's in human services and life coaching from Liberty
nice,
University. But the reason I started going back, well, the reason I ended up getting into that is because I had met two separate people. One of them was on a job site, um, who had said that about, oh, Liberty University online. I'm like, I kind of saw the ads for it and whatnot, but I was considering going to get a master's, and I'm like, oh, you know, what do I have to do, whatnot. And then I heard it from another person
oh
from
wow,
back in New York, the, oh, Liberty University. I'm like, you know what? That's a sign from above that this is where I should be going. So I did everything, and I got enrolled and started going there online.
nice,
Um, it's Christian university, so you're kind of mandated to use scriptures in some of the assignments. And, you know, for a long time, like I was born and raised Catholic, but I kind of dissociated with the Catholic Church now. If, you know, connect with God on a personal level, and
right,
I just believe you didn't need a third party to be able to do that. Um, well, you know, you basically you fake it till you make it, right? You've heard the phrase, and you
yeah,
know, some it's true, right? Well, I wrote a bunch of scriptures and a bunch of papers, and finally I'm like, you know what? Maybe I need to go back to church, but I'm gonna try out a Christian church. You know, whatever your religion may be, anyone out
right,
there, it doesn't matter. You know, my belief is that the one God that created all life is the same God with different names from different cultures. So that got me there, right? But what got me grad school, what one of my courses, I had to do an assignment where I had to go and view a support meeting, like an NA
oh,
meeting, a Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous, and I had to go view 4 of those. I had to sit in for those and then write an assignment. Well, typical of a lot of assignments that I dealt with in grad school.
Yeah.
I would read this in the syllabus and like, oh my God, like kind of the way I think about building my business and my course right now. Looking at it all at one time, like, oh
It's too
my God,
big.
how am I going to do this assignment? And then like one thing that graduate school showed me is like one-time management. Two, just break it down. Just do 1 week at a time, and you're going to build. You're going to gain the information, the knowledge that you need to be able to complete that daunting assignment that is 6 weeks away. Right.
Right.
Well, that it was go view for these meetings and write an assignment about it. Have them sign a paper and whatnot. I'm like, I don't need to go do that. I don't belong there, right? Here is a 15-year addict of all different sorts saying, I don't need to be at these meetings.
And you never went to any meetings before or anything?
I never did that. I'm like, I don't need that, because I've seen my friends do it and relapse and go do whatever they want. Like,
Yeah.
I need that. I'm too good. I put myself in the situation I could get myself out. Wrong. Wrong. Okay. It wasn't until I went to an NA meeting. I talked to one of my best friends. I think I'm going to go to AA. I have to do this assignment. He's like, no, bro, you need to go to an NA meeting and just hear what is going on there. He's like, you're an addict. Like whether you're doing drugs or not, like that is in your blood. So I'm like, you know what? Fine. I'll take advice. It's my best friend. If I'm going to listen to anybody, it's him. Right. So I go, and that, it changed my life really, because I saw other people there that you hear addict, you think, oh, this person's robbing somebody for drug money. This person, selling them all this jewelry for whatnot. It's like, it's not that. Like a lot of people there, some people, look, they're down and out when they're there. Some people, it could be the CEO of $1 million company and you would never know. That's why they call it anonymous. You would never know has these problems, and it could be people watching this right now. It could be anybody. You just never know. That's one thing I realized is like, I'm not better than anybody else, and I'm not worse off than anybody else. And they make it real clear at these meetings that's the case. You're not better and you're not worse off than anyone. We're all here, we have the same goal and the same problem, and that's it.
We're all the same.
That was 7 months ago. I did the assignment. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to keep going back. The friendliness, I'll tell you what part of it was, is part of the same reason that I started going to church again, because the love, and this is what I feel in this community too, in the mastermind community. This is why I'm a part of this. The knowledge is cool, but you get knowledge all over the place for this stuff. The love and support, right? You go to these places, and this is during COVID, and everyone freaked out. Everyone is freaked out. I can't go near this person. I can't do that. Right. You at a meeting, they are hugging you. They don't care. You're getting a hug, and that's the end of the story, and you're accepting it. So okay, great. And it was different, people, you can feel people's authenticity, like watching a video of Dean talking. You could feel that he means what he's saying, by the way he portrays himself, by the way he speaks, by the energy he has when he talks about things. And you could feel that at these meetings. And when I was going back to church, and that's something that attracted me to this community too, is I can feel the authenticity, and like people don't have anything to gain by being here. And that is, as a logical thinking person, I take pride in the fact that I am that. I always think like, who benefits, quo bono, right? Who's benefiting from this? Is there financial gain involved? Is there advancement in career or life because this person's doing that? And I think that's one of the reasons why we've connected well, is because I don't feel that way. Both of us eventually want to sell our services to people who need it the most, but like I feel that we connect on a genuine level. I don't plan on trying to sell you anything. If you want to buy the future course,
I don't have to buy your course.
Yeah, if you have to buy it, I'll mark it down.
Well, you got to buy my course. That's it.
That's it. One for one. I'll buy your course for Christmas for myself. That's just one of the things. Like, I realized the authenticity at these different stages of my life, and just to bring it up again, like, I'm out here, this, but I'm out in California by myself. Every one of my friends growing up, every one of my family is back in New York still, in New Jersey, in the East Coast. Like, I'm here by myself, and that's why this community means a lot to me. My mentors that I've met out here, they mean the world. I've learned
All right.
a lot from these people who, same situation, have given me a lot and expected nothing in return. And that's one thing they taught me is when I came out to California, I had the mind state of, why would I go do this? Like, they're not paying me to go do this. Why would I go do that? And my mentor, one of them, is telling me it's not about that. I'm gonna go help this person out, and that's just because I want to do that. Because they need it, and I'm capable of helping them. And it took me a while to really realize that, because I was kind of messed up. Like, to my thought process is like, especially the New York mentality is like, go go
What's
go.
in it for me?
What's in it for me? Exactly that.
Why do
And
I want to do this? What are you going to do for me?
and I was surrounded, like, my family is very good people, very caring people, but um I met people here that really have genuinely done so much for me, and really had nothing to gain from it. They didn't need anything from me. And that has been very touching in my life, and has motivated me to be that way towards other people. And that's part of the reason why I do what I do now.
That's awesome. Yeah, you expect nothing, but you get more than you could ever get than if if they gave you a million. You get that feeling of satisfaction that you helped a fellow human being.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
well, it's connection. You get a connection that because
I that's in our innate desire as humans, is
yeah,
to do that for other people. And a lot of people portray the world, oh, it's such a bad place, such a negative place. Yeah, I get it, because I used to be that person. It's the government's fault. It's everybody else's fault.
yeah,
That's what I talk about in my freedom course that is hopefully coming by the end of this year. Um, is regardless of the world around us, right? You can still have freedom regardless of where you are, because it comes from within.
right,
You learn, and like the way you act towards others and help others, and the way you act in your own life, the way you take care of yourself, the discipline, the optimism, the motivation, exercise, eating healthy, relationships, faith. Like, these are the acronyms of the freedom course that I'm going to bring very soon. These things are invaluable, so to speak, priceless, you know, and that can't be taken away. Like, it's just something, people need to experience it before they can understand, because I talked to a lot of people who are not. My coworkers at my old company, my construction company, I would learn all this stuff. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I read a lot of books, right? I would
yeah,
learn all this. I would go in there and talk. I want to talk about it. Like, I want to drop the wisdom that I just took in and teach, because when you're teaching what you learned, it's the best way to retain that information, right?
right.
Um, People are not interested in what I had to say. Like, they're like, first off, what do you know about anything? Why are you here in the same trench as me if you know so much? But that's
Yeah,
the mentality of people who, sadly, that fixed mind state is not. You're not going to ever change your life with that. And that's
right.
really encourage everybody. Like, the thought had never ever ever crosses my mind of, like, people ask me, can you fly a plane? Well, if you gave me a couple of years to learn how to fly a plane, yeah, I could fly a plane.
Yeah,
I it confuses me that anyone would think no, like, that you couldn't do that. I know that everyone in this community who's going to watch this video feels the same way, that there's probably nothing I can't do
right.
with the. I'm not saying I could get out there right now and land the 747, because I probably couldn't do that. But if you gave me 4,000 hours, 2,000 hours in the air, like, learning how to do this, I'd like to think that, I'd like to think I could be able to do that.
No, you can.
So you would know, John, you would know the best if I would.
Yeah, you could do it. They got autopilot, Ricky. I saw him. I flew with him one time in the cockpit, and as soon as they took off, the cereal bowl came out, and they were eating cereal, and it was on autopilot.
Wow. Yeah, as long as you're the one who checks the plane, I'm pretty sure I can land it.
Oh yeah, no problem. But yeah, we can do anything because you think about there's nothing that's here that man hasn't created that you buy. Somebody it went from a thought to actual physical. And we can learn everything and people that think that oh I can never do that. Well then we put our own we put ourselves in our own little jail.
Yeah, exactly. We're a victim of our own self limitations.
Yes, yes, we're the wall. We're the block. Any block, and you might want freedom and everything else, but if you're blaming like the government or what you're blaming everybody else, and you're not taking responsibility, well, then you have no freedom at all because you're just the victim. You're not. You know.
100%. No, nothing's ever going to change from that.
Right.
All change from within. Another thing I like to talk about is what motivates people to change. People will begin to change for other people. Your spouse wanted you to
Oh yeah.
change, your kids want you to change, or someone you love or care about, they want you to change. That's great. You might initiate that change, but you're not going to stay with it.
No.
Almost nobody stays with any kind of change that's induced by anybody else. You have to really want it. And that's one thing I've learned my entire life. When I wanted to stop using drugs, I stopped using drugs. When I wanted to stop drinking, I stopped drinking. When I wanted to go to college, I graduated college. When I wanted to do graduate school, I've done graduate school. Like, when you don't focus on what you want, you get what somebody else wants. And Tony talks about that all the time. If you don't have goals for your own life, someone else will set them up for you.
Oh, right. Yeah, you think you got to live up to what your parents want or what somebody else wants. You try to live your life for them, and it's not yours, and you're not
That
being authentic.
I think that's a huge problem with a lot of kids growing up, especially um, children of Asian and Indian descent. I have a lot of Indian friends over here, and they talk about that all the time. The pressures of growing up in an Indian household is, if you're not a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, you're a failure. And meanwhile, I know a couple of my friends are multimillionaires and aren't any of those things. But it didn't matter to their family for many years because they were expected to do these kind of things. So it takes a while. It took a while. Like now, as the generations go on, they're more open, a little more accepting to things. But that's how first generation, a lot of them are like that.
Right, right.
Pressure, and like you look at China and like the pressure of living in China the things going on there are insane. I think that's something that people need to be aware of too.
Yeah, we take things for granted here, and we get like, oh, we have. So I think that's what happens here a lot. So we think, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, and then you see people come here from other countries, and they see nothing but opportunity.
Yes.
Like you're like, how did they get all that? What happened? Because they saw the opportunity and they took the action and they made it happen. They didn't sit there and go, oh, it's because I'll never be able to do this, and because of
Yeah.
this, I can't, and it's just a different mindset.
I mean, Americans in general have just become complacent. God, Dean and Tony talk about it. A lot of economists talking about it. I'm going to talk about it. There's a recession around the corner that I don't think people are ready for. Americans in particular are going to be dumbfounded. They're going to be very depressed. I think, I don't, it's sad to say, but I think the rates of depression and suicide and really horrible things are going to go through the roof because people are so not ready, not mentally ready for what we're about to go through, and at the end of the day, I just want to encourage everybody that it's just money.
Right.
Okay. And if nobody else has it, don't worry that you don't have it either. Live a good
Right.
life, good to other people, and God, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, will provide for you. And that's what I firmly believe, and I encourage everyone to, stay true to their values and be a good person to other people.
Yeah, you just have to hang on to your hope and take responsibility for yourself, and stay in community and help each other. It's just, it's just because it could be overwhelming. I mean, COVID was really hard for a lot of people, isolation and everything. So
For sure.
definitely. Well, hey Ricky, it's been really great. And yeah, knowing you is a joy. That's one of the best benefits out of this whole thing.
Thank you. Same
Yeah.
here. I look forward to our weekly and bi-weekly dinners.
Yeah, they're fun.
So yeah, we'll definitely be getting in touch. Like I said, I'll be heading to New York
Yeah,
on Monday, and we'll get back before the new year.
nice. Have you done New York? Have you done Times Square New Year's
Yo,
Eve before?
of
Never?
course.
That's a
No,
tourist thing, right?
never New Year's Eve. Never.
Huh?
You got to be crazy to do New Year's Eve and go there. You got people wearing diapers
I
out.
know, that's what I heard.
No, man. When you grow up there, you're not interested in things like that. But I do like Rockefeller Center. I do like a little bit of snow, not too much where I have to actually shovel it because
Yeah.
that's when I left. But I do like the winter scenery. It feels more like Christmas to me when I'm there. Driving in sunny California, even
Yeah.
though it might be 40 degrees, everything around you is like, is this really Christmas?
Right.
In New York, it's Christmas. You could feel it.
Nice. Well, Ricky, well, thank you.
If you're lucky, I'll bring you back some bagels.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. I was gonna think pizza. Would pizza make
And
it?
it won't
Yeah.
make it well. The bagels you could heat up and get them pretty close to.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
All right, Ricky. Well,
All right,
thank
I'll
you.
talk to you. My pleasure.
All right, see you.